been 3 years since Tua Tagovailoa was in the draft pool, and he had an eventful 2022 with at least 2 concussions, possibly 3. The last one nobody knew about until the day after. That happened Christmas Day in the game against the Green Bay Packers. Started strong for the Dolphins, fell apart in the second half. At some point, his head struck the turf, as it did multiple times last year, and he was diagnosed with a concussion. He met with reporters yesterday in connection with the launch of the Dolphins' offseason program, and he was asked pointedly, did you consider walking away from football after that most recent concussion? Here's his answer.
Yeah, I think I considered it, for a time, having sat down with my family, having sat down with my wife and having those kind of conversations. But really, it would be hard for me to walk away from this game with how old I am, with my son. I always dreamed of growing, playing as long as I could to where my son knew exactly what, he was watching his dad do. And, it's my health, it's my body, and I feel like this is what's best for me and my family. So, I love the game of football. If I didn't, I would have quit a long time.
And look, he's got every right to do it as long as he's cleared. The concern I have, at a certain point, he's not going to find a doctor who will clear him to continue to play. But once he's cleared, he's got the right to assume the risk of further head injuries by continuing to play in the National Football League. We are a nation that was founded by risk takers.
It
was a rebellion. It was a revolt
Right.
against the government.
Sure.
We have people in every walk of life who take physical risks with their bodies every day for a lot less money than what Tua Tagovailoa makes, whether it's part of their job or whether it's part of their hobby, jumping out of an airplane, rock climbing, driving around on a motorcycle without a helmet. People have the right to take those risks. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness includes the ability to make bad decisions or decisions to put yourself at some sort of peril, consciously or unconsciously. You can do that. He can do it. He has every right to continue to play his career. And unless and until no doctor will clear him, he can continue to keep playing as long as he wants and as long as the team will have him. The one reality, though, is, Chris, if you keep missing time due to concussions, even if you keep coming back, even if you keep getting cleared, there is going to be a point where that's part of the evaluation of the player. Hey, he's good when he's here, but he's not here enough.
Sure.
We need a guy who's going to be here enough. A guy, all things being equal, we'll take the guy who can suit up and play every week.
Right. I think that's a real concern. I think it's already on everybody's radar, that point you just made right there. Right? I think there's a part of it that it's on the Dolphins' radar. I think that's why there was, early on in the offseason, a kind of like there were some thoughts out there that maybe they would do something else at quarterback or get somebody else because you're not sure where it might go with Tua altogether. I think that's why people even thought, the Lamar Jackson thing to Miami might happen. Wait, can Tua really play in the NFL and play a 17-game season? He hasn't gotten close yet to doing that. So, those things are there. But this is where, the human element and Tua, who I know he loves football. I mean, it. You could see it. It permeates through his body and his actions and everything there. And then when you couple in the personal stuff, it's hard to tell. Personal stuff, what I mean is he's had a dream of this his whole life here, it sounds like. Wanted to play in the NFL with his kid growing up, being a part of it. So there's a lot of things going on here that are at play. And, of course, he's making a living and being paid handsomely for that to support his family. And that's where it's going to be a fine line here of, this whole concussion thing and everything and telling grown men when they can play and when they can't play and all of that. It's an interesting discussion nonetheless. But, yeah, he's a little bit in dangerous territory. And you see he loves the game and he wants to play it. But he's got to be careful. He definitely does.
Bottom line, he has the right to continue to make the decision to play football as long as he wants. But at some point, someone else may make the decision for him, whether it's a doctor who says no more or whether it's a team that says, sorry, we need somebody that can play every game, somebody who isn't going to be striking his head on the turf and getting a concussion, and then we have to move on to plan B, and then plan B isn't any good. We move on to plan C, and the next thing you know, we're not as good of a team as we want to ultimately be. That's just the reality. Now, earlier in the offseason, GM Chris Greer said that, and I want to make sure I get this right, if I recall it correctly, it was something along the lines of the fact that Tua's had these concussions doesn't put him at risk of having future concussions, that he's healthy, he's fine, and it doesn't enhance the risk.
Yeah, it goes back to ground zero is what they're saying. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I always had a hard time believing
that. It doesn't enhance the risk.
Yeah, okay.
And look, I'd say that's separate and apart from the risk that seems to be enhanced that this guy's susceptible to concussions because he strikes his head against the turf because the physics aren't on his side. We're going to talk about that angle coming up. I think that is undeniable. Whether or not he's had these past concussions will make it more likely for him to have future concussions, we'll see. But Tua was asked about that yesterday, whether he's gotten that same message, and he shared another piece of information he got from neurologists that helped contribute to his decision to keep playing. Here he is.
They also told me that CTE wasn't going to be a problem. It's only when you're constantly, hitting your head against something. So I think that tailors more towards, linebackers, O linemen, D linemen, guys that are, constantly, going at it. So that also played into the factor of, my decision making and wanting to come back and play.
Now, this is a prime example, in my opinion, Chris, of people hearing what they want to hear
definitely.
to support what they want to do. I think you're more likely to get CTE if you have constant, repetitive, subconcussive trauma. We've heard about that over and over again. They're trying to take the helmet out of the game for that reason. Constant banging of the helmets at the snap of the football. Quarterbacks don't get hit in the head as often as offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and linebackers. But there's still a risk of CTE. When they study the brains of former football players, the number is 91.7% of those that have been studied. 376 former NFL players have had their brains studied by the Boston University CTE Center, and 345 have been diagnosed with CTE, 91.7%. I don't think they were all offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and linebackers. So, again, he's looking for a way to justify his choice, and don't we all do that? When there's something we want to do, what do we start doing? We start asking our friends for their opinions, and we cherry pick the words that our friends use that support the thing we want to do. Even if the full balance of the commentary would lead to, you probably shouldn't do that thing, we cling to the one thing that meshes with justification for what we want to do. That's human nature. I'm not faulting Tua for it. The guy wants to play. He's cleared to play. He can hear what he wants to hear. He can act on what he wants to act on. And he can tell himself he's not at risk for CTE, even if he really is.
Yeah, no, well, that's, again, that's part of the delusional aspect of NFL football players. We're good at that. We are. Just kind of, that's why a lot of us were in the NFL. We're stubborn and had such a one-track mind that we could overcome obstacles. And nope, I'm going to be that, I'm going to be that, I'm going to be that. So that plays into it. The love of the game plays into it, right? He's on a team right now where it's like, oh my gosh, who wouldn't want to be a quarterback of the Miami Dolphins right now? It might be the most fun team to be a quarterback of anybody in football. Mike McDaniel, the weapons they got around, it's Florida, there's no bad weather, we can just throw the ball around the lot all the time. So, he's got everything right here. So I certainly didn't expect him to walk away easily. I didn't. Now it's just, yes, what can he do to further himself and condition himself to being hit? And that's the thing with quarterbacks. It is. Because quarterbacks, it used to be, it's the worst thing in the world, Mike, when you play that, for the superstars, that first regular season game, and they didn't play any of the preseason, right? And then they get hit a lot. That next morning is like, whoa. I was a guy, and I know my career, I didn't play a ton, but I wanted to play in the preseason. One, I needed the reps. Two, I wanted to be hit a few times. I wanted to kind of condition my body and my brain and everything to like, oh, wait, I'm going to wake up the next day. Oh, wait, when I throw and get hit like this, okay, you got to get used to that stuff. And as a quarterback, yeah, you don't get a lot of opportunities to do that. And all of a sudden it's just like, whoa, wait, we're going and it's full speed and everybody's used to getting hit and I haven't been hit yet. And that's where, you can fall into troubles, and hopefully he can strengthen his body and his core and all the things he needs to lessen those blows to the head to the ground like we saw last year.
That's coming up. We'll get to that in a second. Before we do that, we're going to play a clip that I'm a little bit torn on whether to even play it, because I don't like the message it sends to kids out there. And I know that sounds a little melodramatic, but listen to what he had to say about how close he was to playing in the playoffs, and then I'll explain on the back end why it makes me just a little queasy as to the message it sends generally to aspiring football players. Have a listen.
Were you close to playing in the playoffs, or was that not a possibility?
I am not sure. I was going through my process with Kyle and just trying to do everything I could to get better. But at any point, whenever the team, Mike or Greer would have approached me and asked me if I were ready, there's no question, no doubt in my mind that I would have stepped up to the plate and answered the call.
See, this is troubling from the standpoint of the culture of football. And we hear from time to time when an established, entrenched star quarterback taps out of a game and says, I may have a concussion. Yeah. Ben Roethlisberger did that in 2014, and people thought that, this is the pivot point, and everybody in football now is going to suddenly put their hand in the air when they think, no. There's only a small handful of guys who have no concern whatsoever about saying, I can't play anymore today, and I have no qualms about my backup entering the game in place of me because I know I'm not going to get Wally pipped. I mean, and this is the very delicate balance. You want to be ready to answer the call, but when you're talking about brain health, there's no call to be answered. This isn't about trying to fight through a shoulder injury. This isn't about trying to find a way to run on a hamstring that has been tweaked, and you're going to do what you can to gut it out. This isn't about playing in pain. This is about knowing when you should not put a helmet on and go out on the football field. That's what made me queasy about that, because it goes to the very culture of football, and it's something that the NFL and every other level of the sport is still going to have a hard time dealing with.
Yeah.
Because guys want to play.
That's right.
Especially guys who have yet to establish themselves on that short list of guys who can voluntarily walk away from a game to get checked out for a concussion or stay out of another game because he has a concussion and watch somebody else take his job.
Yeah, exactly. All those factors play into it, 100%. Let alone, it's just, again, it's football players want to play football. Back to, yes, they're psychos in a good way. This is their passion. This is what they want to do, right? So it is. It's hard. Right? We just talked about a guy yesterday on that same very field that Tua, and we had that scary moment, was dead on the field. And he's like, I'm coming back to play. Yup, my heart stopped in a game, and I don't give a damn. I'm coming to play because I love football, and that's what I do. So it is. It's a gift and a curse there from a football player. Damar Hamlin, Tua Tagovailoa. I was in the situation you were in with my spleen. We're 0-2, right? Things were bad. I was just starting to establish myself, and added on to that, I was a psycho and the son of Phil Simms, and watched him play for Bill Parcells and suck it up and go play football. That is the culture. You're right, and it's tough. And it's tough to tell a grown man, too, who goes, wait, no, I feel good and I want to play, that he can't play. That's where, it is. And I know it's scary and concerning, but it also shows you how much he loves the game. And, yes, that's where we got to find this line in the NFL culture, the world, the medical, all of it, to where, we can find the line of protecting a guy and, still letting him play. But I don't know where that line is, and I think we're in the process of still finding it out.
The flip side of what he said yesterday came during Super Bowl week when he said the Dolphins never allowed me to go through the concussion protocol normally until after the season was over. They were protecting me from myself. Me and my family
very
are
nice.
Thankful for the Dolphins. So there's some mixed messaging there, and it would have been helpful if he had said that again yesterday because, and it's not his responsibility to send a message that's going to resonate through the culture of the lower levels of football, but it's an opportunity to do so, and I just think it's something that we should all be sensitive to. The culture needs to be aligned with the idea of not playing until you're properly and fully cleared to play. And this comment from Super Bowl week takes it even a step farther. Yes, he would have been cleared, but they were still protecting him from another potential incident and also protecting themselves. Chris, this is why I was surprised they picked up the fifth-year option on Tua. This is why I'm surprised they continue to be committed to him. Because for the same reason he doesn't want to be the concussion guy, the Dolphins probably don't want to be the concussion team. Every time his head strikes the turf and he has a concussion, what happens? It's the lead of our show, it's the lead of every show, and it shows up on non-sports shows. Nightly News activates, CBS Evening News activates, ABC, whatever they call their nightly news show, activates. They all become interested in this. And I think at a certain point, there's an element of fatigue and weariness that the Dolphins have. We don't want to be the team that has the guy who gets a concussion once a month on a football field.
No.
We want a quarterback that doesn't. That's why I thought they would consider all options. And, hey, I like the fact that they're keeping Tua around, and if they can find a way for him to stay healthy and avoid these concussions, the sky's the limit for this team. I get it. But had to be a strong temptation to try to find a guy who's played football for a long time without having that season like the one we saw from Tua last year, where you have at least 2, and for those of us with common sense, 3 concussions.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think that was I almost feel like that decision with Tua was bigger than the Dolphins. I wouldn't be shocked that the NFL was involved in that conversation, and they wanted to make sure the optics of it, look the right way. They didn't want, oh, hey, it's the first weekend of the playoffs, and, oh, hey, star quarterback that everybody likes, oh, hey, he's down and he's, quivering on the field again because of a concussion. I think that was the worst nightmare, and especially when it was only, 2 or 3 weeks after Damar Hamlin and all that. So I think it was like, nah, we're not going to let him play. We don't know. But it fights in it goes into the face of some of the comments or the things we said earlier in the show. Well, wait, I thought there was no worries about concussions and being susceptible after a certain point. That's where I want to say that too and go, well, why didn't you let him play? I mean, the concussion was like 6 weeks before that. Apparently there's no worry about, post-concussions anymore. It's back to ground zero and it's totally fine. There's like nothing there. That's what I want to say in my snarkiness, but no, I think the optics of it are really the biggest thing that's the issue there.
I think it's a fair observation, given the fact that at the NFL league office, the VP in charge of health and safety is also the VP in charge of PR. I mean, that doesn't get discussed nearly enough. There should be a firewall between PR and health and safety. In the league office, the same person, Jeff Miller, is in charge of both. And I've mentioned it from time to time, but it really didn't crystallize how much of a problem it is until you were wading through this reality. From a health and safety standpoint, he's good to go. And what are they saying about short week football? Oh, it's Thursday night, Sunday night.
That's what I mean. It's kind of talking out of both sides of their mouth here. Yeah. Yes.
Well, but yeah, would it really shock anyone to learn that the league put a little pressure on the Dolphins to make sure this guy is not back on the field in any way, shape, or form this year? We just had Damar Hamlin die on the field, and they understand that the magnifying glass is so much stronger in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying.
This is going to seem like a hard right turn, but Jim Nantz said this last week on the SI Media podcast with Jimmy Traina about the Tony Romo criticism. It reaches a fever pitch in the playoffs. It's not like they had a bunch of meaningless, slappy games in the regular season. They did the Thanksgiving game that was the most watched game of the regular season, and nobody was like all over Tony Romo. But in the playoffs, everything gets magnified. The audience is bigger. Everything that happens is more scrutinized. So hell yes, somebody somewhere was thinking, and kudos to them for thinking it. We just had this Damar Hamlin thing.
Right, and Tua on a Thursday night early in the year. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't need that happening again after he's had 2, 3 concussions this year. We don't need that. We won't have that. Sorry, Dolphins, but there's no way that guy's playing. I don't think that's some crazy-ass conspiracy theory to think that 345's fingerprints weren't over that this dynamic he pointed to Super Bowl week, that they wouldn't even let him go attempt the protocol.
Right.
No. No. Well, why not? Why not? If he's cleared, hey, we got this protocol. We brag about it whenever we have to. Hey, this protocol's awesome. Why won't you even let him try? Because we don't want him on the field.
No.
Because we don't want it to happen again. Because that's the last thing we need right now. And I'm not saying it's wrong. We're just trying to understand how it happened.
Right.
I mean, it's probably smart from the greater good of the game. It is the last thing they need. It is a risk that they shouldn't take.
Right.
Is it right? Is it fair? Is it proper? Is it fair to the Dolphins? Should Dolphins fans be happy about the outcome? Probably not. But
yeah, no, they probably would have won if Tua played that game. I mean, it was there to be had, But you're right. And I think that brings us back to, I'm with you on something you said like 10 minutes ago, and we kind of just glossed over it a little bit. Like shocked, is almost an understatement that they gave him the 5th-year option. It really is. And we're talking about a guy that played 12 games last year, 12 games the year before that. The year before that was in and out of the lineup as a rookie or little. It's all been injury related, right? That I'm shocked. I mean, guy admitted he didn't work hard enough and wasn't prepared enough, and we just give him the 5th-year option. I was shocked by that. I really was. With the injury history alone, I would have been like, wait, no, let's see if he can go through a full year. We just saw what happened with Daniel Jones. It's not like a total negative if you have a quarterback playing in the last year of his contract and he's got to prove himself that he can be the guy for the future. And within that, like Daniel Jones and Tua, he knows that they like him, but this is just part of the business. Yeah, I was really surprised that they gave him the 5th-year option. I thought they'd try to wait it out and see if he could play a full season.
My thought is this, and I don't mean to suggest that the organization, that the owner is being altruistic in any way in coming to this conclusion. Now, maybe Mike McDaniel, who we both really like and respect, and has, I believe, a high EQ, not IQ, probably high IQ and high EQ, the emotional quotient or emotional intelligence quotient, whatever they call it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's separate from being smart. It's being compassionate, having empathy, sympathy, all the good things that make you a good person and understand what other people are going through. I frankly think they picked up the 5th-year option because Tua's going through a lot. He's dealt with a lot. He dealt with getting
I think you're right.
yanked around over Deshaun Watson.
Right.
We heard the stories about how it affected him. And look at how he played once the Deshaun Watson trade window closed in 2021. I think all things considered.
You think that's what it was? They didn't want to have the year of everybody. Are they going to be here and all that? Yeah, sorry.
Well, I think that the concern, and it's entirely possible there were multiple conflicting motivations. You could have Mike McDaniel saying, we can't do this to this kid. We can't do it. Look at what he's given us over the last 3 years. We can't have him wondering for all of 2023 whether we want him for 2024. We want to give him that security and that certainty. We need to show him we're behind him. Others in the organization, and this is a more cynical version of it, this is, this guy's going to be no use to us in 2023 if he doesn't know he's fine for 2024. We can't expect him to be even-keeled and focused because look at what a mess he was the year that
Watson,
he didn't know whether or not Deshaun Watson was showing up. If we make him go into a contract year and he doesn't think we're behind him,
he'll be a mess.
He's not going to be remotely as good as he needs to be.
Right. I can get behind that.
And it could be both attitudes come together.
I think
they do the 5th-year
I agree.
option.
I think you could be onto something there. Kind of both of those things together, and then you add on the fact that if we don't give him the 5th-year option, it's going to be a constant talking point from the media and everybody, and when's the new contract and all that. So yeah, I think we got to the bottom of that. It does. It squashes a lot of that stuff right there. And you're right. It gives Tua some confidence and, okay, wait, there's no questions. They like me. I don't have to answer some of these tough questions. And you're right. We saw that it didn't react well with him with the Deshaun Watson, trade rumors and everything else that was going on at that time.
And their window's still wide open. It may be even more open this year than it was last year. Last year was the first year. This year is year 2. And Tua, for the first time ever, has continuity. And Tyreek Hill is still one of the best. And Jalen Waddle is coming into his own. And they've made the defense better.
They got Jalen Ramsey. They're ready.
They need to hold it all together this year. And I think one of the ways, part of the investment for this year is making the commitment for Tua for next year. And then when next year comes, we'll worry about what kind of commitment we're going to make, if any, beyond 2024. All right, and one of the keys, we're getting to it now. Chris talked earlier about the reality that quarterbacks aren't hit a lot until the season starts. That was all part of the explanation that Tua gave yesterday as he goes through jiu-jitsu training aimed at better equipping him with an ability to fall and not strike his helmet against the turf. Here he is.
Hey, Tua, what's your current belt ranking in your jiu-jitsu?
Still a white belt. I'm still a white belt. I just started. I mean, we used like crash pads to land on first with trying to fall. Obviously, with tucking your chin, that was one of the deals, but it went a lot more into the technique of how to disperse your energy when you fall.
If you have a split second to think, I mean, how does that work? Because if you're being sacked, how does that work?
Well, I've been falling a lot this offseason, so I think just like anything else, you continue to train it, you continue to work at that, it becomes second nature. Then when a situation like that does happen, it's not something new that's presented to you. And for, guys at my position, we barely get hit, if that, throughout practices, throughout the off season, even going into training camp. We don't even get touched, until the season starts. So, I mean, with jiu-jitsu, I've been thrown airborne. I've been put in many uncomfortable positions, for me to learn how to fall and try to, react throughout those positions that I'm getting thrown around in.
This reminds me a lot of conversations we've had in years past on getting quarterbacks to slide. Mark Sanchez didn't know how to slide. They brought in a baseball expert to teach him how to slide. Mike Vick didn't know how to slide. He'd dive head first. He wouldn't slide. I hope this works for Tua. And we played the video earlier, the 3 occasions this year, at least 2 of them, the Bills game, the Bengals game. If we can roll that as we're talking about this, here's what I'm curious about.
Mm-hmm.
How is any amount of jiu-jitsu training going to keep this from happening? This shove. When he gets shoved like that, completely legitimate and legal, not roughing the passer, but when he gets that shove,
that's just his ankle and his back, Mike. That's not his head.
I know, but watch the shove. Watch the shove there.
Yeah,
that shove. What about your jiu-jitsu training is going to keep you in that moment, in that split second? Oh, he did get flagged, by the way. But what's going to keep you from hitting the ground? Watch this one here. There isn't a damn thing that he could do about that. And that one was not flagged. He's just being tackled. Now, this gets back to, can you put weight on his body? Can you get him in a position where the physics are not lined up against him? That's really the question. And he said he's doing some work on strengthening his neck.
Yep.
I just don't. I hope it works. But it may just be he's not big enough, regardless of whatever extra training you have. And again, good luck implementing it in real time in the middle of your NFL career. I don't think it's quite as easy as people believe. But even then, how is that going to translate? Those 3 instances we just saw, how is that going to keep his head from hitting the turf? And maybe it will. Maybe it will. That's going to be one of the big questions that hovers over the entire 2023 NFL season and every time the Dolphins play, especially when they play in a standalone primetime.
Yeah, it's you're right. I mean, you said right. The physics aren't against them. This is aren't with them. This is something that, a smaller guy getting whipped around is definitely more susceptible to, right? We talked about that last year. You never see Mahomes or Josh Allen get tackled like that. That doesn't happen, right? They're too big of humans. But, one, I could say this, and this is probably part of why football players are also ultra confident in a lot of ways. The things you can think of and what you learn about yourself and the things you can think and see in a 100th of a second those are things you learn about yourself in the NFL, or you think, see, react, whatever. You learn and you go, oh my gosh, I don't, the next day you'll watch film and go, I don't even know how I did that, coach. I was kind of on the way down, about to throw the ball, and I saw the guy's eyes look this way, so I threw it that way just at the last second. I don't know how I did it, coach. And you can have thoughts like that. Even in the process of, wait, I'm about to get hit here, right? And as I'm getting hit, oh, wait, I learned tuck my chin and just go with it instead of fight it. You can have those type of thoughts, and hopefully he can condition himself within the physical nature of it and the mental nature of it to have that thought and protect himself in a way to where, he doesn't have that whiplash into the ground. We'll see. Like you said, we got to all see it, I think, to believe it. But there is an art to falling, and there is something to that. I think Brady is, a guy that's mastered it, and Tua is someone that's, got to figure it out here, and we'll see if this jiu-jitsu helps him out a little bit.
Well, and Brady's 6'5". I mean, that's what we've always talked about. You don't see the large prototypical quarterback hit the ground that way.
No.
You don't see that happen. You don't see that whiplash. You don't see the head strike against the turf. So maybe this combination of neck exercises and jiu-jitsu will help. And I get the impression that he'd like to have more opportunities to practice it in a setting where, you're not hitting a pad. There really is a risk that you're going to strike your head against something. Can I, in that moment, tuck my chin? Can I keep my head from hitting the turf? Am I going to process that? Those are all things that just add to his overall mental stress when it's time to go play, on top of everything else he has to do. And that's a real angle. Chris, you're talking about the things that can be processed in real time. From a team standpoint, you'd rather the guy be focused on finding that guy who's open, who wasn't open, and getting rid of the football, not I have to figure out how to properly duck and cover so I don't emerge from this interaction with a defender with a head injury. Yeah. Again, most quarterbacks don't have that issue. But if Tua is going to be successful in the NFL, this is a change he has to make. If he's going to be able to play, he has to do this. If the Dolphins are going to be able to rely on him as their starting quarterback beyond this year, it's just something that has to happen.
Yeah, it is. We know that. We're hopeful for him. The Dolphins are fun to watch with him at quarterback. No doubt about that. And I hope he can make the right adjustments here and be healthy and play and, enjoy his career and have his family enjoy his career. I certainly, I'm rooting for him in that aspect 100%. But yeah, that's a big question mark. And you're right. It's one we gotta kind of see in action to start to believe it and go, okay, wait, the improvement's real. There's something to it there. And even with those two, he's got to stop fighting it. That's the one thing that I always noticed with him. Like, don't fight the fall, right? That's something I learned from my dad early on playing quarterback. Don't fight the fall. Just go with the fall. It does you no good on the way down to be like, oh, let me just try to fight it and stay up. No, you're getting hit this way. Just let it go and let it fly that way, right? And I think some of that is an issue with him too. Even with the Cincinnati play, he's still fighting it as he's being whipped down. No, at some point you got to have a feel to go, I'm not going to overcome this. I need to just go with this big dude that's throwing me this way and lessen the force on my body. And I think that's, part of this jiu-jitsu magic that he's talking about.
We saw it in action in Phoenix. We saw how you have
Screw you guys. Screw you guys.
With the fall.
I set myself up here.
I'm hoping if I say it enough times.
I thought they already got in your ear and set it up. No, we got to go to break.
No,
it's been a long first segment. Let's get going here.
No. But the whole idea of going with the fall is why you weren't injured when you were standing on the edge of the stage.
Right.
And under the weight of your giant shoe.
What a filibuster you are here.
Something broke.
Yeah.
And you fell down onto the ground. And you rolled.
See?
And you almost kicked someone in the head. Whoa! But he went with the fall.
Yeah, at some point, like right there, I just said, I'm going down, so I got to take it. You just got to go, right? There was a part of me that was like, wait, I'm going to fight this right here. And then I went, oh, no, I'm going down, so I got to go with it. And then you just roll into it. So, hey, Tua, watch that video. Take some notes, right? That might have been right around the time when he screwed us over and didn't come and do the interview with us. So I don't know. I'm just having fun either way.
Pete points out that I was actually smiling.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you look. Look at a little smirk on your face. Oh, look, the big doofus smell.
It all happened. It all happened so fast. I was like, what's going on? And if you keep playing the video, you'll see that my main concern was I needed a water.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, he's okay. He didn't break his head. Yep, okay, fine. All right, where's my water?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that it's clipped there. Thankfully, it doesn't show me being completely uncaring and only worrying about getting a little water. I knew you were fine. Hey, you've been through worse.
I have.
You couldn't have lost your spleen again.
That's right.
Can't have to worry about that.
Yep, I'm
Not
all
going to lose
good.
that a second time. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.